great to see you again. You are at this military parade. Talk to us about the mood and the scene there.
Yeah, I'm actually standing right outside Freedom Plaza. And actually, so you got Freedom Plaza on one side, and then you've got the White House complex right behind me, and throngs of people who are all around right now trying to watch the festivities as they play out. And as you just showed in that photo, we've got military personnel that are actually marching down Constitution Avenue. And just before that, we saw the military people flying above us, jumping out of helicopters and airplanes with a lot of smoke billowing around them. So it's a very festive sight, very exciting sight, a lot of oohs and ahs coming from where we are versus what we've been seeing all day with the No Kings protests taking place across all of the country, even about 2 to 3 miles outside of where I am in Maryland.
I will talk to you about the No Kings rallies in just a moment, Eric, but can we talk about this military parade a little more, which is such a rare event to happen in the U.S. And also it's important to note this is just the military, if I'm right. There are no Marines involved. It's not like as if it's a complete a show of strength in terms of defense forces.
Yeah, that's right. This is a parade that's marking the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. And so what we're seeing now is not only personnel, but machinery, weaponry that has been used throughout the U.S. Army from its inception to today. And so that's what we're seeing right now. And it's also important to note that we have not seen a military parade like this actually happen in the United States since the first Gulf War.
There are concerns, and a lot of people are talking about how this resembles some other authoritarian regimes around the world that hold such parades on a regular basis. Talk to us a little more about that sentiment in the country.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, when Donald Trump first proposed this idea, he got the idea from Bastille Day when he went to France and he saw the parade take place there. And he wanted something like that here in the United States to take place during Veterans Day in November. But there was a lot of pushback on that, and so it did not happen. But now this time around, the president, given the vast authority and influence that he wields now, was able to actually move this process forward. And as we note, the parade is actually costing a whopping $40+ million. Which is very striking when you consider all of the tens of thousands of government employees from the U.S. State Department to the U.S. Agency for International Development who lost their jobs as a result of those cuts from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. But now we see this parade, and you've got the helicopters that are flying behind us right now. And so the president finally got his wish to hold this parade. And it's the irony of it is, of course, it's taking place at a time when there's growing concern about the president's overreach with the use of both the National Guard and military personnel with the Marines on the ground in Los Angeles.
And now let's talk about that. Because of that incident and the National Guard and the Marines in Los Angeles, we've seen several protests take place across the country. And as of today, while there is a military parade happening in Washington, D.C., in several big cities and small, we're seeing rallies which are dubbed as No Kings Rally. I mean, look at the sentiments that range in the country.
Yeah, that's right. And so while this is taking place, what you're seeing it almost appears as though it's a tale of two countries. So you've got the protests and the demonstrations that are pushing back on what we're seeing take place just steps from where I am. But again, this is a celebration, and you've got thousands of people who are out here celebrating both the president as well as the U.S. Army. And of course, many people revere the U.S. military. People throughout the country have given their lives to service to the United States Army. It does stand as a symbol of freedom in terms of its projection of power around the world. But there is growing concern about how the president is using that power to his own gain.
And lastly, if I may, in terms of the significance of this event, while it is an important landmark for the military, like you pointed out, Eric, what is the president hoping to achieve out of this?
That's a really good question. We know that for the president, he likes to be able to mark his projection of power. And of course, many believe, and why there's so much pushback on this is because the president has always talked about the military in terms of mine. And so what people are concerned about is the president doesn't recognize where his power ends and where the power of democracy actually begins, particularly as it relates to the American people.
Right.
And so that is what this struggle that we're seeing play out, even as the president is now marking this this massive occasion for the U.S. Army, and of course coinciding on his actual birthday.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Eric Ham, CTV News U.S. political analyst. Appreciate this, Eric. Thank you.